Hey everyone, it's Erin from the Painted Tin Bin. So today's video is going to be for our Rudolph. So before we get started, a couple things that you need to know. One, you should protect your space that you're going to be painting. The paint we have is exterior latex paint, so it will stain. So my suggestion is either put some newspaper down or a plastic paper, tablecloth, sorry, words are hard today, and or something to protect the space that you're working on. I just have some brown paper, so if you have some grocery bags laying around, you could cut them up, cut them in half, and you could lay it down, you'll be good to go, okay? And then the other thing is, since we are using exterior latex paint, you can see I have paint all over my shirt, so it will stain. So my suggestion is either to wear an old t-shirt or an old sweatshirt. You could wear an apron as well, but just be mindful of, if the apron doesn't have a top or if the top is out here, you don't get super crazy with the paint. Or, something that you don't worry, that you're not worried about if it has paint on it, an old t-shirt that you use to paint walls in or whatever. So, okay. So let's go over all the items that came in your bag. This super cute Joy Reindeer, so cute. Okay. We have a light brown, a dark brown, a red, and a green. Okay. So the red and the green are for the antlers. And then the browns are obviously for the face. You do have some polka dots. You have some sponge brushes, a skinny brush. Your brush may look different from mine, but you have one or two of those. You have wire, and you have the face. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing that I'm gonna do is I'm going to do the red nose and the brown top of the face. So I'm gonna do the red nose and the top of the face. And the reason why I'm doing two things at once is because I can paint this, and then while this is drying, I can paint this, and then go back and forth and back and forth. I will show you a little trick on how to dry your paint quicker, but we'll get to that. So the first thing, let's just dive right in and let's get, oh, and you also had a bow. Yes, coordinating bow. All right, here we go. So let's go ahead and get started. Grab a sponge brush, and I want to draw your attention to the angle of the brush. Use that to your advantage when you're getting into these tight spaces, okay? So let's just grab that red paint and let's paint Rudolph's nose, shall we? So I want to thank everyone for purchasing a kit. This was our first endeavor of creating a paint kit. So it kind of helped us figure out a new business plan in this COVID time, if you will. But really appreciate you helping raise funds for the group that will help civil service employees further their education. Now, when you're painting, don't get too worried about if it got a little outside of the pencil. You're gonna paint over around the outside, I called it the muzzle. I don't know if that's really the biological correct term, but so I mean, that was super quick. So the thing to keep in mind with the paint, keep it thin. We're gonna use thin coats of paint. Thin coats of paint are much easier and quicker to dry, as well as if you use if you use a lot of paint, it would kind of get clumpy and gooey and weird. So we're gonna do probably 2 coats of paint. 2 should do ya, but we'll get there. So I got my Rudolph nose done. So the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get the brown and another sponge brush. So you have 1 sponge brush for each color. Now, if you are gonna start this project and you gotta stop and come back to it in a day or two, you can absolutely rinse these out in the kitchen sink. Just be mindful that it is paint and don't get the paint everywhere. Just rinse them out really well, and then kind of dry them off and lay them out, okay? Get rid of that. All right, so let's dive in with the brown here. So the brown is going to go, the antlers keep getting me, above the pencil mark. So I kind of just started there with that, and we'll keep going. The other thing to keep in mind is that we are not painting the antlers brown. So if you wanted, you could also kind of come in and do the same thing. Just draw a quick line with the brown across the top to kind of keep you inside the lines, if you will. Okay. So then again, using a sponge brush and the brown paint, thin is in. Go ahead and, sorry, it's backwards. I have to remember that. Go to town. It will look a little odd because my paper that protects my workshop tables is brown, but I'll show you once we are all done. So, okay. And it's okay if it gets a little streaky, if some of that white shows up. We are going to do 2 coats of paint. So, you are okay with that as well. And these shapes go really quickly, which is great for kids, but if you're an adult doing this, I have these in my office, my cubicle. I do have a job that pays the bills. This is just my fun job, as I like to say. And I change the 12-inch shapes out every season. So as you can see, did that. Super easy, super quick, okay? Now, here is the trick on drying paint. You can walk away, you can go take the dog for a walk, you can go unload the dishwasher, whatever the case may be. You could sit here and blow on it if you really wanted to, but let's not pass out over this. So enter our handy dandy hairdryer. Now, if you're a kid that's doing this shape, please go get your adults and ask them for help with the hairdryer, please, okay? So when you're using a hairdryer, it is so super important for you to use the cool button. Now on my hairdryer, you have to hold the blue button in. Yours may be different, and that's okay. Different is okay. You just need to make sure that you know how to use the cool air and keep it on cool air. If you use hot air, like if you're drying your hair on a normal day, it's going to heat up the metal. Then the metal's going to warm up the paint. Then the paint is going to start to get really soft and fall off. And then you have to start all over again. And you'll probably have to call me because we'll have to take the paint off. So don't do that. But if it happens, it's okay. I can help you. But let's go ahead and use the hairdryer. I'm not going to pause the video because I want you to see how long it should take to dry a thin coat of paint. So if you have sensitive ears, please mute now. I'll wave when it's time for you to come back, okay? It's also really important to make sure that you got it plugged in right. Just a quick tip I wanted to show you because you can kind of see in the brown. See where it's dull and then see where it's shiny. If you see that it's still shiny, that means it's still wet. So you can also, as you're drying, you can kind of wiggle it in the light to see if it's still shiny. If it's still shiny, go back to drying. Okay, so you saw a couple things. I told you about the shiny, kind of wave it in the light, you can kind of see, and it's like, oh, yep, no shiny, we're good. Also, the other thing is you could kind of lightly rub your hand over over the painted pieces, and if it comes out dry, it is. Now, I had touched it when it was still wet, and I had a little oopsie in there, but that's okay. Our next coat of paint will cover that up. So let's go back to our red now. I hope everyone enjoys this kit. It's super cute. This is one of our newer shapes. It's scrapicated. I just think he's super cute and super fun. So I think this little guy will be going to my house, hang him out outside, make my my mail carrier and my UPS guy and my Amazon guy cheer up their day. Okay, so I did a thin coat of red on it. It doesn't matter. You can choose to go a different direction. You can choose to go the same direction. It's really your call, but again, keeping it thin because we want to make sure that we can dry it pretty quickly. So again, I'm going in with the brown now for our second coat. I like to go the opposite direction, so I went right to left the first time. So this time I'm going to go up and down. You don't have to. I will also show you one area that some people do, and depending on where you're putting it, you may want to. Especially when you're getting in there on the difference between his nose, the muzzle, and the face. Use that angle of the brush to your advantage, okay? All right, so I got two coats on each one of those. Sometimes, here's a little tidbit, sometimes people like to just do a quick little once over on the side in the color. That's totally your call how you want to do it. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. I usually forget to do it, to be honest with you. Sometimes if you do get a little excited with the paint will automatically go over to the corner. So it's already there. No big deal. If you don't do it, you don't do it. No one's going to come after you. So, all right, there we go. So let's go ahead and do another round of drying, shall we? All right, so I will wave when I'm done drying. So if you have sensitive ears, go ahead and mute now. Okay, so I wanted to draw your attention. I did a little oopsie. You see the kind of smudge right there in the middle? You can go in with your skinny brush with the brown, or I could, and fix that up. The skinny brush, I would definitely, you can reuse over and over again, and so, wash it out as quickly as you can after using it. I was able to just kind of use my little brown sponge. It wasn't that big of a deal. So, all right. So we got the start of a Rudolph. So, all right. Let's do his muzzle right now while we're thinking about it, while it's right there. So again, you're gonna get the light brown. This is kind of a minky color. I was very excited the way this color came out. And you're just, again, same thing, lather, rinse, repeat. You're gonna use that light color all on the bottom around, there we go, his red nose. So, and again, I use that angle to your advantage, go around. Doesn't have to be perfect. This isn't a Beverly Hills reindeer with a nose job. So I hope you guys really enjoy this. I think we're going to, I think we at PTB are going to start offering craft kits for kids. They'll be the 12-inch shape, but they're also good for adults too. So sometimes adults, again, like I said, I hang the 12-inch shapes in my cubicle at my day job. Also, the 12-inch shape is really great for offices. So just in general, office doors, because sometimes like a big shape, the big shapes are really designed for exterior doors so that, you know, you can see it from the road, you know, whatever it is. And so the 12-inch shapes are perfectly acceptable for adults. You see how we're going? But we'll market it to kids, but it's also going to come with a YouTube video, and that's going to help me kind of get back in touch with my teaching roots. Way back in the day, I used to be a teacher, and I kind of miss that now, even though COVID has made education look very different, along with many other things look very different. But, you know, just a little artistic outlet for kids and adults during this time of year. They will be ready for in time for gift giving, for the holidays. So whether you celebrate Christmas, Kwanzaa, Hanukkah, or nothing, it will be ready for the holiday break, the winter break that occurs in schools. So I am taking my time as I go around the nose, just because I want to keep it nice and clean. And as you kind of see, I just kind of, it's almost like I use my paintbrush like a pencil, and I just go around. And there, I closed it off. So now I'll fill this little part in. We're good to go. One thing I do want to bring up to you guys is that you cannot texturize paint when you are using metal. So sometimes when you can texturize things when you're painting on other, like a canvas or something. I just did around the edge, by the way. You cannot do that because in metal, it's going to sit there. It's not going to soak into or it's going to stay on top. And it's just going to take way too long for it to, you know, if you wanted to make like fur, you know, your paint to look like fur or something. So please don't do any texturizing unless you have a lot of time to let it dry. And when I say a lot of time, like a day. So, all right, we're going to speed up the drying process. We're going to use a hair dryer here. So I will wave when I'm done, so mute for your sensitive ears. So if you keep your coats thin, it'll be about a full minute to a minute and a half, depending on if you use high or low. I'm using high on cool. So again, minute to a minute and a half, and it should be dry. But again, you can look for shininess against the light and the paint, or you can lightly rub it and see if you get anything on your finger. So let's do a quick second coat here. The other thing to keep in mind is that you do not have to do a full second coat. You can only do a second coat in areas you think need it. You know, it's really your call, but and it doesn't have to be, again, it's going to be thin, no thickness here. So, okay. This little space between the nose and the face, you could also use your skinny brush to get in there. It might be a little easier, but I just turn my brush sideways. And then just smooth out so I don't have any ridges. So. All right, do another quick dry, okay? Told you this goes fast. So go ahead and mute. It's not quite dry yet, but we're done with the bottom half of this, so it's pretty easy for me to just kind of flip it over this way, and it'll just keep drying. So I'm going to move my little computer back a little bit. Okay, so the antlers, really kind of up to you how you want to do them. In the picture that you saw, it was a stripe. Okay, so go grab something, and what you can do, let me go grab a pencil. I apologize, I forgot one. Okay, so, and you can do any kind of stripes, and it could be, you know, however thick you want your stripes to be. I'm just, because it's easy, I'm just going to use this, you know, like why make it harder for myself? So I'm just going to keep and don't worry about pencil marks, because you will cover them up with paint. Okay. So I did that. You are more than welcome to do anything you want. If you wanted all green antlers with red polka dots, absolutely, go for it. Speaking of polka dots, I would say that these small ones are probably going to be your best bet up here. The big ones you could put anywhere. You could put them all over Rudolph's face. Maybe he's got polka dots. I don't know. The other thing to keep in mind is that you have, other than those polka dots, you have two other polka dot makers. You have the bottom of your sponge brush, and then you have the bottom of your skinny brush, whatever your skinny brush may look like. So what you would do for those is you would lightly dip them in the paint. Quick little tap, okay? That paint is going to be thicker, so my suggestion to you would be, if you are going to do those types of polka dots using these, use the hair dryer for sure, but also just let that sit overnight. Once you get that done, from that point, it's just adding your hanger and your bow, and that's pretty quick, and you could do that the next morning. But I think, you know, if you're going to do polka dots that way, my suggestion is definitely to let that dry a lot, okay? So, I think I'm going to green, red, green, red, green, red. You have to kind of decide what stripes stripe is what? And that's the wrong, oops. Brown. Don't do that. Make sure you pick up a clean one. Okay, I'm gonna do red and green stripes, so I'm just gonna come in here and just gonna use that angle again to my advantage. Take it right up to that brown. It's kind of like I'm outlining my stripe first. Okay. All right, and then I'm just gonna fill it in, okay? So as you can see, I kind of got the outline. I'm gonna fill it in. Now, my suggestion to you would be to do all of one color first. So whether you start with red or whether you start with green, it doesn't really matter. But once you choose which color you're starting with and your design, stick with the one color first. So as you can see, got one of my stripes in. All right, we're gonna go to the next one. And this is where these 12-inch shapes are really nice because you can kind of flip them back and forth to whatever section you're working on, which makes it so much easier. So. Cut that guy in. And then the last section up. Sorry about that. Here. It's hard for me to remember to make sure it's in frame for you guys, so I apologize. So okay, so there we go. So as you can see, we got our green on, okay? So, gonna use the hairdryer for a little bit. Go ahead and mute. I'll wave when it's time to come back. Okay, so I did one coat of green. The one thing I did want to say to you is that if you're not comfortable using the sponge brush, you are more than welcome to use your skinny brush that I provided. I believe you got two, so that would be perfect if you wanted to do one red, one green. The thing to keep in mind is that it'll take a little longer and your brush strokes may show for the first coat, definitely on the first coat, but by the second one, you should be able to get rid of your brush strokes using the skinny brush. But I did want to offer that up to you guys. I actually may do this little sliver down here that needs to be red. I'm going to go ahead and pop him into this red. So if you have maybe a little sliver, I think that's, could easily go ahead and pop it in. There we go. Okay. So yeah, so if you wanted to, you could easily do that. Okay. All right, so now let's do our second coat of green so we can say that our green is done. And again, whatever brush you choose is totally fine. You can also, we'll also dry this, but because the red will be so close to it. But the other thing to keep in mind, kind of like how we did the red and the brown back and forth, we could have easily done that with the muzzle and this waiting for it to dry. So that's something else to keep in mind, especially if you have a lot of kiddos doing this at the same time. If you bought a couple of them for all your kiddos to do, sometimes, just giving them one section and one color will work the easiest, just because if you put all the supplies in front of them, they will probably want to use them all, because who wouldn't? So, okay, I'm gonna go in to my last coat of green. Again, like I said, you don't have to do the whole piece green. You can just go over the sections you feel that just need a second coat. I don't feel like I need a second coat on some of the thicker edges that I had from the first coat. So we're just gonna put that in. Let that go. We don't need a second coat there. So, all right. There we go. Our green looks pretty solid. I am gonna do the sides of the antlers. Again, do not add paint when you're doing this part to your paintbrush. Use the paint that's already on your paintbrush. It does not take a lot of paint to cover the edge, and it does not require a lot of paint or time. Okay, so here we go. This one's gonna be a little longer just because I really wanna make sure that this green is dry, because we're gonna go in with red next, right next to it. So this one I would definitely shoot for 1.5 to 2 minutes. So go ahead and mute if you have sensitive ears. Okay, so we've dried our 2 sections, or our green sections. They're dry. There's a couple spots where it's still maybe a little wet, but that's okay, because when we're drying the red parts, then we will dry the green as well. So, all right, so let's get our red back. And I always enjoy doing the same shape with a large group of people, because no 2 reindeer will look the same. Even if we'd all decided to do stripes, everyone's width will be different. Some people will have tighter shapes. Some people will have, oops. Okay, so if your paint gets over into the green, you can lightly wipe it off, but we can fix that. So we'll come back to that section, okay? So I wanted to show that to you guys, like even I make mistakes. So, okay. Wider, some stripes are skinnier. Some people will put polka dots everywhere. Like, everyone's reindeer will look a little different. So, Again, don't be scared if you go, you know, if like my red just got over into the brown, I just did a quick wipe and it got it off of the brown. So probably a good place for me to say you can use the skinny brush. So, you know, there's that. Plus you'll also find little sections where maybe it should have been green and it's, you know, you're bringing your red right up to it, but so that's always, you know, we'll fill those little sections in. It's okay. But right now what we're concentrating on is just getting the two big sections of color, red and green, on the antlers so we can see where, if any, there are some holes, okay? And again, it doesn't have to be perfect. We here at PTB like to say it's perfectly imperfect creativity. It's what you want it to be, not me or anyone else. So it's pretty open as to what you choose to do with it. So, okay. So as you can see now, we have our striped antlers. That's kind of cute. I do see a little section of green on the side where I kind of want to fill in. So I'm just going to go ahead and pull that. And then there was a little tiny spot where I felt like I needed to put a little more green. Yeah, that looks better. Okay. So again, let's use our hair dryer and dry this bad boy. I will wave at you when we're done. Okay, there is one section I do want to go over. So as you can see, I'll show it really close. I kind of went over right there. The red went over in the green. So I'm going to go over where it needs to be green right now. And then dry it all, okay? That's how it's pretty easy. You just make sure you fix things, okay? All right, so now we have dry red and green. We're gonna do one more coat of red, but you know what? I think this time I am going to, I apologize for that. I am gonna use my little detail brush here just to do a little finer piece, a little more control over the sections. So as you can see, it does take a little longer, but you do still need to keep the paint thin, and but it does give you a little more control on tiny little spaces. So, okay. All right. This also is a great tool to use for the sides. So if you notice some of the sides of the metal need to be done, you can do that. Sorry, I'm concentrating. But This guy's really super cute. There's a little side there that I want to do. The positive with using a skinny brush is that by the time you get done with, you know, over here, by the time I get done over here, my first thing that I did will probably be dry already, so it'll help with drying. Again, all of the paintbrushes you have today, you can clean them off in water and use them again for other projects that you may have around the house. So I encourage that. Or even like the skinny brushes, if you use them in the browns, the dark brown and the light brown, and then now you need them for the red and green. Just rinse them off in the kitchen sink water, just warm water, not hot, and then let them, dry them off with a paper towel, and you're good to go. Okay, all right. So here is our little faceless Joy Reindeer. So, I'm not going to dry the top because I'm gonna walk you through some things, but just for the sake of time. The glory of this video is that you can pause this at any point in time and either come back to the project, or if it's taking you a little longer to do your stripes, pause it, come back. It's absolutely fine. So let's talk about the face. So I gave you 2 eyeballs and a little smirk for our little Joy Reindeer. So one thing is, once you pull them off of this paper, you have to stick them. So it is very, very important that your brown, your dark brown, where the eyes are gonna go, is very dry, and it should be. That was one of the first things we did, and it should be very dry as long as you kept your coats of paint thin. So once you pull them off, you have to stick, and once you stick, you must commit. AKA, you can't put it down and then try and pull it back up, because these are made out of super thick vinyl. So this vinyl can be outside for 5 years and not show any wear and tear. So it's guaranteed for 5 years. So your little guy can go outside, or he can be inside. It's totally fine. He can, he'll be good to go. So I'm gonna take one and I'm just gonna put them down, put the eyeballs down. Now you can keep them super close together. You can make them kind of wide apart. It's really your call, but I kind of went for a little bit in the middle. There, see? And just stick and peel. That's all you gotta do, pull and peel, and then rub them down just to make sure that they're really on there. Again, once you stick, you must commit, so you cannot pull them up. And then we have the little smirk. He's a little cutie. All right. Again, same thing. I would pull gently from the bottom of the smirk, not the bottom of the smirk. That didn't look good against my black shirt. Not the cheeky part. But when you're placing it, you need to make sure that you do have enough space for the cheeky part. So I'm going to go a little higher up just because, why not? He's a cutie. He's got a little smirk. All right. And again, same thing with this sticker. Really rub that, make sure it's there. And you know what? It looks like I had some red paint on my finger, and that's okay. Can you see it? You may not be able to, but that's okay. There's a little red paint there. If that happens, no big deal. Just grab your light colored brown paintbrush. Smallest part of light brown on that. Just a little bit. And put it on there. Just a little dab, okay? A little dab will do ya. Now, I'm a messy painter. If you're not a messy painter, close your eyes. Because I like to just go in with my finger and spread that paint around, keeping it off of the vinyl sticker. It was right next to the vinyl sticker, so I must have had, I had some red on some finger. When I was rubbing it down, I got a little red on there. No big deal, okay? So as you can see, I used the brown and now it's gone, okay? That's gotta dry for sure. Again, this is what happens. Wipe it off on your shirt. If you're not wearing a painting shirt, you cannot do that, okay? So, from there, ladies and gentlemen, your little guy, he's pretty much done. I mean, how adorable is he? He's the cutest. Now, there are a couple things that people have asked that they can't, if they wanted to, they could add. One thing is sometimes people like to outline the nose. Just grab a Sharpie. Any black Sharpie will be just fine. It does have to be a Sharpie. If it's a washable, it'll come off. But I'm going to also line my nose. If that's a personal preference, it's whatever you like. But again, just a nice, quick little line. And I find the best way to outline is to do small sections. Don't try and do one gigantic continuous line because it won't work, okay? So I just did a little black line just to give his nose a little oomph, okay? Now, polka dots. Polka dots are the very last thing that you're gonna do. I think I wanna put some of these small ones on my antlers. So what I'm gonna do, I am going to dry my antlers one last time. So, again, if you would like to mute so that you don't hear this, if you have sensitive ears, please mute. I will wave when we are done. Okay, so that's just so cute. So cute. Now, you know what, ladies and gentlemen? I don't think I'm gonna do polka dots on here. I like this. He's just cute the way he is, a little red and green for the holiday season, okay? So let's talk about your hanger. So up to this point, ladies and gentlemen, you need to have your shape completely done, okay, and dry. So feel free to add polka dots if you'd like, whether it be, using the end of your paintbrush, or, the stickers, using the outline. You could also outline if you really wanted to, between the muzzle. I think that's what that's called. Please don't. If it's not, I'm sorry. The light brown and the dark brown, or between the antlers and here. But, I'm kind of okay with where he's at right now. He's really just super cute, smirking, and having a good time. So let's grab our wire. If you are a child, if you're a kiddo that's doing this, this is a time where you need to go get your adults, okay? This is an adult help section. You need the help of your adults. So the easiest way for me to describe how to do this is to go from the bottom up. So as you can see, I have the shape laying down, and then the antlers are closest to me, and there's the two hanger holes. So the easiest way is to take your piece of wire and make it into a U, and then bring it up in both sections. Now, from here, you can do whatever you like. You can twist it with a pen. I've done that with a pen cap. Or you could, if you're an adult that's using this, if you have some pliers, needle nose pliers, that's what we use here in the workshop. Or if you're just not that fancy and you just want to fold them up, you can do that too. It's okay. It is your piece. So what I typically do is I grab it from the end and I do one, let go, and then I grab it again, and two. So 2 circles. Okay, and then I come over here and do the same. 1, 2. Now they're not gonna match. but I mean, they're not supposed to. So, and again, be mindful of how big of a loop you need for your hanger. This is kind of big. You can make it much shorter just by pulling more up and cutting it off, or just twisting more and more and more, okay? So again, I'm gonna lay him back down. He's hanging out here. I'm gonna grab my bow. Now I'm gonna decide which side of his antlers I want the bow on. Do I want it on this side or this side? I think I'm gonna go over here. So you have 2 legs of your bow. One leg goes through the hole. The other leg comes over top. I'm gonna get out of the way there. Okay, so see how it's come over top? And then you just twist it together. Now you can cut these little pieces off, or you can just smash them down. 9 times out of 10, I just smash them down. And then you can come back to the front and you can fluff your bow however you see fit. But otherwise, there is your cute 12-inch Joy Reindeer. Not too shabby. If you have any questions or anything that comes up, please feel free to ask away, send us a message on Facebook. We're more than happy to help you out. And I hope everyone has a great holiday season. And I hope to see you in workshop once we can start having workshop again. Thanks, guys. Have a good one.